Hi, we're going to discuss design whiteboarding challenges. If you are applying for a role as a product designer or UX designer, it is a common step, like the third or the fourth step in the design interview process. In this video, we will discuss a Figma framework that discusses the step-by-step approach to take in the whiteboarding exercises, how to excel them. There's a Figma link for the community file that I've published in the description. I will also show you how to use it, different design wireframes that you could use within that 60-minute time frame that you would have, and let's get started. First up, I want to discuss what to expect. Usually after you've talked with the recruiter and your hiring manager about your background and whether there might be a potential fit, maybe an overview of your career trajectory so far, you might have a design or whiteboarding exercise. It's a 32, usually it's a 60-minute exercise in which there will be 2 to 3 interviewers, and they will give you a prompt for designing, and they want to understand your thought process, your thought process and how you would approach a problem, how would you solve the problem, what kind of critical design thinking skills you might have. So this is your moment to showcase your style and what kind of questions you would ask, how would you design, and everything in between. It will include tips and tricks. I have a Medium story that I will link in here that has all of this in a more cohesive manner. It's only a 60-minute time process, so you might want to manage your time. So this framework will hopefully help you familiarize yourself and tweak out your own framework that works for you. Let's get started. Let's say that the question that was given to me by my interviewers after I said hi, introduced myself and themselves, the question could be: design a social media app for on-demand wholesome content from elderly people. Here's how you'll get the Figma file, and it's a community file, and what you want to do is get a copy. I already have a copy of that, so let's go and review it. It has the wireframe design system, but before that there is a whole discussion section and then a design section. For example, when you open up your interview, the interviewer will tell you a prompt. For example, if they say design a social media app for on-demand wholesome content from elderly people, what you want to do is look at this whiteboard template and make a duplicate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call it, because it's a social media app, I will call it social media app or something like that, or maybe a date, something like that, to have a meaningful name here. Then what I'm going to do is just copy paste or repeat the prompt that they've given us. So what is the prompt? The prompt is design social media app some content from elderly people. This is the problem. So first up, as soon as you see the problem, repeat it to them, write it down somewhere, because over a period of time and a lot of discussion, you might lose track of what it was. So it's really important to keep your notes clean, concise, and to the point. So you might want to write the important things that are relevant to this exercise. Next up, do not think about solutions at all. I would recommend, if you have a 60-minute time frame, you might want to divide that time into exploration time and design time. So the first 30 minutes, I take that time to introduce myself, get acquainted, and really dig deep into the problem. What do we know about it? What are restrictions? And before designing anything, run some ideas by my interviewers or my audience, and I ask them, what do you think about this idea? Could be, what do we know about this problem? Why do we want to solve this problem? So first up, I would ask why. So for example, if I'm told that, design social media app for wholesome content from elderly people, and they said on demand wholesome content from elderly people, first up I would like to call it a name. So let's call it OnlyGrans. And next up, what we want to do is discuss the why. Why is really, really important. You should want to ask about why we are doing this. Is there a business reason for it? Is there a personal passion product for whoever is sponsoring this, or your team? Do they have interest in it? Why are we doing this? So maybe you can write business goal about passion, wholesome. We could have some data that this content is very helpful. Maybe we know that this will improve revenue or engagement. So some reasons like that should really be established upfront, because they will guide our work in the next steps. Next up, okay, this is why we are doing it as a team of product managers, designers, developers, but why would a user use it? Is it that we know that people are looking for this content but are not able to find it? So maybe unique request, unmet need. And why would they use only our product? Maybe because we have some expertise that nobody else in the market has. Unique social media inputs. So you can add some values like that. More about business goal, so that you could write about investors, or we know that the future of social media could be something along these lines. Maybe we have data that there's been a lot of negative content online and we want to make something positive. Something like that will be given to you by the interviewer. The goal is not to have all of these correct or absolute or perfect. It is really to keep asking questions and showcasing your design thinking, your process, your curiosity, and how you go about solving a problem. Asking a lot of thoughtful, meaningful questions would give your interviewer an insight into your process, the unique stuff that you bring to the table, and whether they would want to hire you after this. So ask questions, keep it light, understand that it's not going to be perfect, they don't expect it to be perfect, it's more of a discussion and your work. Next up, you might want to discuss more about who we are building for. For example, if this is the content app, we might think about, there's two kinds of users. Maybe there is elderly content creators, and there are consumers of all age ranges. Next up, we might want to talk about, there could be other user types too. For example, ad platforms, media managers, content creators assistants. There could be all kinds of user types that we are going to serve, but we might want to focus or zero in on who are our primary or secondary people that we are going to follow. In this case, perhaps we would discuss with the interviewers, and I would reach the conclusion that the two customers or users are primarily going to be content creators and consumers. Next up, we want to understand more about their demographics, usage patterns. For example, are they very tech savvy? Are they would they require more accessibility? What are some of the apps that they're used to using? What are the expectations from a new app? What kind of adaptation can we expect them to have for a new app? Or how would they even hear about this app? What kind of solutions are they using right now? So what are their maybe workarounds? and so on. Learn more about the users. Now, when you ask this kind of question, there's a chance that your interviewer might not have an answer, in which case that is totally okay. Tell them that what is some of the assumption or hypothesis that you could work with for the purpose of this exercise. Also, if there is some questions that go unanswered, you ask the questions, but those questions were not answered, a good place to write about those questions would be in here, so that you can document that you thought about it, but you're just not thinking, you don't have the answer right now. Maybe if we actually took up this project, we will discuss those questions later on. Subject matter, this is something that I would love to spend 1 or 2 minutes on in this interview. I would like to ask them about who are our subject matter experts. Do we know about social media experts, maybe back-end engineers who have worked on social media apps, content creators who excel in the kind of demographics that we work with, marketing managers, those kind of people. Who are the subject matter experts? So identify them, write them here somewhere. What kind of questions you would like to ask them, that we can note in here, and just identify who would we reach out to when we actually go about building it. This could also be the position where you see competition and see if there's already some place that this solution could be present and some workarounds that people are seeing. And so on. There can be more stuff that you might want to learn. If there is something that you would like to add of your own, what you can do is just select one of these sections, create a new, copy paste it or Command D and call it, new section, and keep on writing these stuff. And of course you can remove individual items, so like remove these. Or the other thing that you can do is each of these sticky notes can have like different colors. You can change their colors. You can change their text right from here, and so on. It is really customizable. You can do with it whatever you would like to do. And let's go next. Next, I'd like to discuss about problem exploration. What are some of the assumptions that we're working with? Some questions that were not answered before, and do we still not want to address them? And some of the limitations. So, for example, we can assume that the age range of our primary users, which are content creators, could be, say, 45 to 100. Or can we assume that they would require accessibility help? It is really important to lay down the assumptions that we have considered or established together as a team, and not something that you have assumed on your own without discussing with your interviewers. It is important that you include them, co-create with them, and show your process. But before we even go there, between this section and this section, so between the problem exploration and additional documentation, I like to discuss one thing, which is a headline. So this is something that I like to ask my interviewers, that hey, if we did solve the problem, if we did solve the on-demand wholesome content problem, and it was a very successful product or successful project, what would a headline look like for our project? For example, would it look like something like social media app takes the internet by storm and has 3 million requests within the first month of launch, or something like that. This is really important because we are going to discuss the limitations. We are going to discuss everything that we are not able to do, but we should be able to also discuss what we are aiming for, what is the goal, what is the happy case scenario. That builds up a positive energy between you and your interviewers, and I think it helps see that you have a range of thought process. You think about the best case scenario, that you think about everything that could go wrong, or everything that limits or scopes the project. So that would be really helpful. I find it really helpful. Next up, I would like to discuss ideas. So never ever should there be just one idea that we work with. So we shouldn't just start by saying, there should be a mobile app that is there should be a mobile app that is just like Instagram, but people can make requests. Never do that, and never just start designing your frameworks like that. Always give some range of solutions and run it by your interviewers to see what they feel about it. Do they like one better than the other? And I like to take this time to also create some, at least propose some solution that is completely outrageous. So for example, we could, for this problem, we could think about, an Etsy store where, creators can accept requests and deliverables would be content. This would help show that you think about existing solutions, and if our goal is to create engagement or to make sales or to create wholesome content in the world, do we really need a new social media app? So fundamental questions like that show that you think about things on a deeper level and think about existing solutions before reinventing the wheel. Next up, can we use a social media community? Oh, it seems like I have a shadow mismatch in my design system. I will update it. Social media community, so like a Reddit, subreddit, or we can use a Facebook group, or something that is a platform that is already there, but people know how to use it and just create a new entity of that. Next up, maybe we can use the standalone social media app. So a new app similar to Instagram or OnlyFans, but it's specific for this type of content. Next up, we can think about an idea that is a video communication service. So something like Zoom, Zoom or Google Meet. Finally, this is my place for outrageous solutions. I would probably suggest something like a kiosk machine where you can input a quarter and see pre-recorded content from elderly content creators. Most likely this or even the first two will not be selected. Or maybe you could have multiple app ideas, there could be a dashboard idea, there could be a marketplace, there could be a video game. You could have all kinds of solutions in here, but just show a wide range and not just app or one app solution. And try to showcase other kinds of inputs. And if you get any big or more white or black kind of inputs from one of your interviewers, make a note of that in here in the feedback section. So suppose one person, Mike, said not applicable, or this person, Jane, said that this is considerable. This is unanimous. Unanimous favorite. And this one is second best. And this one, Mike said that this is a nice opportunity. This is really important to collect their feedback and make tiny, concise notes about what did you hear about these things, and do we have a special one? Do we have one that everybody agrees upon? Is there something that you should ask more before you start designing your solutions? Typically what I do based on this feedback is I arrange them based on how frequently it was favorited or liked, and then maybe we can you can include your interviewers to rank these based on how much effort would one of them will be and how much value it will create. So it doesn't have to be effort versus value, but some kind of feedback on or analysis of which of these solutions should we be approaching. For example, if this one, the kiosk solution, was something that we wanted to keep over here, so it's like a lot of effort and it doesn't have that much value, that means it's not something we want to create. If it has a lot of effort and a lot of value, maybe we'll consider it. A lot of value but little effort, yes, that's the kind of ones that we would probably prefer. Or you can ask your interviewers and see how they feel about it. Your audience participation is really important in this step, and it can help. All of these should be a couple of minutes each. The only time where I would suggest you spend a little bit of time by yourself, like a minute or so by yourself, is when you brainstorm these ideas. But every other step, be it your why, your user discussion, limitation, assumption, all the discussions, if you are assuming things or if you're thinking things, think them out loud, and include your interviewers or your audience for participation and ask their feedback. Actively listen to what they say, not just because you are listening to them because they're saying something, but also to listen and absorb and change and adjust your designs or your notes in here to have a well-informed design decision. That is something that they would be interested in seeing, like how well you take feedback, what do you do when you listen to feedback, what kind of adjustments do you make, and how best do you make it. So after you're done with your effort and value, matrix or opportunity matrix, you will have one chosen solution about which you're going to create your designs. So suppose it would be a mobile social media app, and what would be the core interactions? You ask them, or you can decide something by yourself and run it by them. Like, I'm thinking that there should be a listing listing page that a content creator can see. There's a list of pages, a list of requests, and they can see them. They could have their own create a profile where they could input what their journey has been, and what kind of experience they've had, or what do they like to do here, those kinds of things. And maybe a third item would be content creation screen, which could be like a camera in which you can open your app and you can showcase how to knit or something like that. Don't have too many interactions here because there's too little time, and it is really important to design for interactions that are core, such as these, and not design for non-core interactions. For example, sign up, calendar, error screens, notifications. Those things are not, don't set this problem apart from the others. You want to focus on the problem that you have at hand and just create 2 to 3 core interactions and showcase how you would go about designing them. So that would conclude our discussion phase. On the design phase, what I would do is quickly bring my mobile wireframe screen. So what I would do with this Figma community file is I would go to my examples, and what did we discuss? We first said that it would be a listing page, right? So it would be like a vertical list or a horizontal list, something like that. So maybe I would dig up this screen where it would have all these different lists, and of course change the location, search requests, and change the text. And maybe you want to add different kinds of UI stuff into it. Maybe it would be horizontal list, vertical list. They could have images, they could not have images. They could be able to favorite it or not favorite it. They could submit, search submit, search on random, those kinds of things. So do with it as much as you want to do, and this is a great time to review what our design system has to offer. We have lists with multiple images, we have cards, we have dark cards, all these different items. They're all auto layout friendly, and they will adjust according to your sizes, so they would work just as well on your web app as they would on the mobile app. You have all these different dashboard components and widgets, line graph, pie chart, everything like that. You have progression, icons, navigation, all kinds of stuff. So take a moment to review all of these and know before your interview what kind of options you have. If you want to add on more options to it, feel free to do that in your own file. Yeah, so just like that, I would probably create a screen like that. And what was the next interaction? Create a profile. So a profile would look maybe something like this. And in that, I'm going to add maybe an avatar. We have an avatar over here that I could just drag in here. Make that a frame, so that could be your second frame, and of course change text or other stuff based on whatever you think suits best. Third is a content app, in which I would just I would just open, let me see, I would just open something like this and add maybe a big plus sign. So not everything has to come from your design system. In fact, some of the things you could choose to not have from the design system. So this could be your camera, and maybe we would have a plus icon, and so that if somebody wants to add a new item, this is how they can add. Maybe they can add subtitles, they can do all kinds of stuff that you see fit. And just take 15 minutes. So between your 30-minute mark and 45-minute mark, create a few very rough, quickly done designs and run it by your interviewers. Ask them, what do you think about these? Is there something that I'm missing? Is there a different direction I should take? That way they would give you some feedback, and you should be able to quickly adjust them in the next 10 minutes or so. And based on that, they would see that you have a whole process of doing it. It is keep in mind that it's totally fine if your designs are not perfect. They're not expected to be perfect. The point is to showcase your patterns of thought and your ways to solve a problem, and that is what you want to show here. Doesn't have to be perfect. All you want to do is show what you would have done in just 30 or 45 minutes of time. Last thing that I would say is make sure you have at least 5 minutes of time to maybe ask some of your questions about work at the company, your interviewer's experience at the company. Thank them for their time, for all the guidance they might have given you during this time. Also ask them what to expect next, and just have a breather and leave them with a feeling that this was a healthy, helpful conversation, and time management is of key. So if you have the moment to say your goodbyes and your thanks and express your gratitude, then it would end on a high note, which is really so much better than you keep on designing till the end and suddenly the meeting has to end because time's up. You don't want to do that. Whether you do it for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, your designs will not be perfect. Take comfort in it, and it's going to be fine. Last things, some tips that I would, Some tips that I would give you is, first up, include them. Don't just think by yourself and make assumptions that nobody has verified. Manage your time well, familiarize yourself with your framework. If this one works for you, great. If not, then tweak it or create something that works for yourself. Nobody will have the best thought process they could ever think of within a 1 hour time frame when they've not given it enough thought beforehand. Perform active listening. Make sure that you are asking the right questions, but also listening to their answers and incorporating those answers into your design work. And discuss multiple solutions before diving into one design process. And take high quality notes. You only have so much time with your design to have your notes, so make sure they're short, to the point, and even you can refer back to them as you go over your process, or if it's a recorded meeting, then somebody else, one of your members from the recruiting team, could review it afterwards. So if you show them your process, it is more helpful for them to understand how you got here and what was your process. I hope this helps. I'll link the blog to it and the Figma community file link right here. I hope it helps. All the best. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave comments and reach out to me for any of the content that you would like to see.